for all that. Yeah, so I offer microblading, which is like a somewhat semi-permanent form of tattooing. And then Nano and powder, which is basically tattooing, just it looks a little different. And then I offer eyeliner, lip blushing. We do freckle tattooing as well. We're also working on currently we're working on stretch mark and scar camouflage tattooing. And that was like crazy because I'm like, first of all, why are you like talking to your clients about me?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it was kind of crazy. It was like I felt like I was in high school again. I think that was a really huge struggle because I felt like 2 inches tall. And this lady came to me to touch up her foreign work, kind of like yours, but I was just touching it up. I wasn't doing anything different. And she sent me pictures of herself later that night. This woman's 40 something. She sent me pictures of herself.
What?
Yeah. I wanted to tell them that I train permanent makeup, and I'm in the middle of my presentation and she stops me and she goes, "I'm sorry, I have to stop you. Your nose rings make you look like a pig." Like straight up. Because I would love to have a bigger team of girls that I've kind of mentored. Okay. I love to mentor people and help people, and it's like really satisfying to me to like see growth in other people in their art and like see their passion grows as mine grows. So it's like introducing something that you love to someone else and seeing that.
Las opiniones expresadas en este podcast son responsabilidad de cada uno de los participantes.
The opinions expressed in this podcast are the responsibility of each participant.
Why Not Podcast?
Hi, welcome back to Why Not Podcast. I am your host, Letty, and today I have a lovely and very talented girl with me, Marissa.
Hi.
Welcome, Marissa. How do you feel today?
I feel really good. I'm about to see Taylor Swift, so I'm like,
how exciting.
Yeah, I'm like kind of not in my body right now.
Did you get the tickets last year?
Yes.
Okay, so you've been waiting a whole year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't even tried on my outfit yet, but I'm going to, and I'm just praying it fits.
It will. You're going to look amazing.
Well, thanks.
And I say talented because she is the owner of PermaVibe.
Yes.
So tell us about PermaVibe.
So PermaVibe is a business that I kind of built in the last 6 years, and we are basically like a permanent service studio, meaning like we do permanent makeup, we do teeth whitening, we do tooth gems, which as you can probably see I have on my teeth. We do like lash lift tints and brow lamination and brow tinting, stuff that lasts kind of a long time for the most part, but we mainly just do permanent makeup. So that's kind of relatively what it is.
So you guys do offer lash, just lift and tint.
Mm-hmm. For right now, I think I would be open to having like a lash extension person come in and like do lashes. But as for the people like me and Megan, it's just me and Megan that form my team right now. I don't think that we'll ever offer it. But if we have someone like come in and just like offer it on their own, like their own business come in and kind of just rent from us, that would be really cool.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I love lash extensions. It's just not really like something we're trying to get into because we're kind of just trying to keep it mainly cosmetic tattooing. So we're trying to stay within that realm and not veer out too far from that. But we're open to having someone like in our studio offer it apart from us.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. And so the permanent makeup, I know there's permanent eyebrows, lips, and like eyeliner.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool that you remember all that. Yeah, so I offer microblading, which is like a somewhat semi-permanent form of tattooing. And then Nano and powder, which is basically tattooing, just it looks a little different. And then I offer eyeliner, lip blushing. We do freckle tattooing as well. We're also working on currently we're working on stretch mark and scar camouflage tattooing. So Megan has been working on some of my stretch marks on my hip here, and what she can do is like dry needle it and make the stretch marks kind of go away. And then any kind of like hyperpigmentation, like dark stretch marks, she can tattoo skin color so that they kind of blend in and they don't stand out, which is really cool. So we're working on that right now. It's a form of like paramedical tattooing. So it's different than like the makeup, but it's still in that like tattoo realm, which is really cool.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And I know you do an awesome job because you did my brows.
Oh, well,
And
thanks.
I felt very valued and like you heard what I needed. Like you took your time to map me and you took your time to really like understand what I wanted, what I needed. And I felt really like heard.
Well, that's
From
good.
you,
That's a
yeah.
big goal of mine when I'm
I-
working with someone.
And I love my eyebrows.
Well, good. I'm glad. Are we touching them up soon?
Yes, we
Okay,
are.
that's right. I'm pretty sure we scheduled
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I think just with my experience, I've learned a lot about like how to approach clients the best, like and hear them the best and ask the right questions and kind of think about like if I were getting mine done, which I do have mine done, but if I were to get mine done, like what would I want from my artist? Like what would I want them to be asking me? What do I want them to consider? Stuff like that. So I'm trying to piece together the perfect, and everyone's different. So it's not really like copy and paste, but I really do try to create exactly what my client's wanting as long as it's like obviously like something I agree with. Because at the end of the day, like it's their face and you know, um the more that you can accommodate your client and make it more of a collaboration and not something where you just take over and do whatever you want, like that's totally not something you should do with permanent makeup. I hear people all the time that have had their brows done before, maybe like 10-20 years ago, come in and say, oh, she just laid me back and just started tattooing me. I didn't know what color she was using, I didn't know what shape she was going to do, she kind of just did it and then that's what I got. And I'm like, that's totally not how I want to approach any of it. So I think that that's what kind of makes me stand out compared to, I guess, other people, because I genuinely want to make it a collaboration. It's not just about what I want to do to you. So
Yeah, and you take your time to actually like listen to them and get to where they want it to be.
yeah, I think a lot of it too, asking all the questions and taking my time to really understand. Not only is it like just me being considerate, but also like gets me out of a lot of pickles, because sometimes people, will say, they'll throw things out like, oh, well, I didn't want them that arched. They're like, oh, well, maybe I should have asked you how high you wanted them, or like if you wanted them straighter, maybe I should have known that before I started drawing. So then it ends up making it harder for me if I don't ask all the right questions in the beginning, because farther down the line, it's going to cause problems if like, I start drawing something on and it's not what they wanted because I didn't ask. And then it's like, well, now I got to start over.
And then it's also like permanent after it's done, it's
right.
done.
And then it's like, how do you go about, I mean, in the beginning of my career, it was kind of like that where I didn't have a ton of leeway. I could kind of just do the same thing over and over again, which happens to a lot of people when they first start doing this, is like they master one style and that's what everybody gets. And it's like you can't do that. You can't like copy and paste. So I would do that to some people and that's not what everybody likes. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
not everybody wants the same style or same
yeah.
shape. So I kind of had to veer from that. And I've gotten myself in pickles where I've done something and they didn't really like it. And so I've had to like change it up. Obviously, I've fixed it and, did the best to make it how they wanted. But yeah, I think that's important to make it them all different. They're all different.
So how did this journey begin?
So it is a very interesting start to my story with all of this. Because I never would have pictured where I'm at like 10 years ago. But I was a dental assistant for a couple of years because my stepmom's a dentist. And she was like, this is a really safe job. It's really, steady and it's never going to go away. You'll make good money. Like, it's easy. Wrong, first of all. Second of all, my family was just really pushing on me, like, you want a job that is a steady income, safe, has great benefits, because you just never know what the world's going to be like, which is so true. Like, in the last few years, like,
Yeah.
very true. But I quickly learned that I'm just not meant for like a clinical setting. My brain does not work that way. I'm not type A. I am very like artsy, spontaneous. I hate schedules. I hate doing the same thing over and over again. Like, that's just not how my brain works. So and there's a lot that goes into that. Like, I loved my job as a dental assistant, but I just didn't like the environment, and like I just didn't see myself doing that forever. So I'm like, I would rather do something that I enjoy and maybe make less money and it not be stable. Just because this is like so unhealthy for me. So I was thinking about it, and I know I love makeup. I've always loved makeup, and my whole family thought that I would graduate high school and become a makeup artist, which I did that kind of on the side for a minute. But I'm like, I just don't want my end goal to be like to work at Ulta. Like, that's just not where I see myself.
Yeah.
Although that would be fun for a minute, it's like I just don't see, that's not something I can grow in. So I'm like, I don't want to be a makeup artist. I checked that off. I was like, not that. A lot of people thought I was going to be a tattoo artist because I have a lot of tattoos, but I have no really interest in doing traditional tattoos. So I'm like, I don't really want to do that. And then I was just kind of like stumbling on YouTube and watching one of my favorite people, and she lives out in LA, and she had her eyebrows microbladed. And I was like, I've never heard of that before. And so she kind of showed what she had done, and I'm like, that looks amazing. And I'm like, what even is that? So I'm doing my Google search, I'm like, what is this? And I learn about it, and I'm like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing, is like eyebrows and tattooing eyebrows. Tattoos and makeup together is like perfect for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So then I just called like the closest tattoo, like cosmetic tattoo shop near me, and I was like, hey, do you train? And she's like, I mean, yeah, if you want to come in and meet me and we can talk. And I ended up doing a 7-month apprenticeship with her. And it wasn't great, but it got me my start, so I'm grateful for it. And, I took a couple extra continuing education classes after that and whatever, but that's kind of how I started. And, the response from people in my life when I told them I was quitting dentistry to do cosmetic tattooing, they were like, what? Like, weren't super supportive at first. Some were. My husband was always supportive. He always believed in me. He's like, you can do whatever you want. But some of my family members were like, so you're gonna leave your job with a 401k and your health benefits and $17 an hour to go do what now? And I'm like, tattoo people's faces? Like, I don't know. And they're like, I've never even heard of that.
Like, it's a new thing.
It's kind of a thing.
Let me try it on you.
Yeah, like, not a lot of people do it here, but like, I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
At the time, there wasn't a ton of people doing it here. I didn't even think there would be anybody, because I'm like, if I don't know about it, then it must not be anywhere near me. But there were people. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. I just have to get good at it, and then I can do it all the time. It'll be fun. And that's what I want to do. So I would stay like 8 hours with this lady for 7 months and just watch her do brows and permanent makeup all day. And as boring as it got to watch someone else, I was like having a blast doing it. So I'm like, I know I'm going to love doing this. I just have to make it happen. Like, how am I going to afford like being able to do this, not go under, because it is expensive to work in this kind of industry. So, after my apprenticeship, I went next door to a medical spa.
Okay.
And I was like, are you looking for someone to do this in your place? And she actually said, I've been waiting for you to message me and ask me for a job. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. She's like, you can start tomorrow.
Wow.
So I moved into this little shoebox room, and I worked in there for like 3 years. And I just got my work out there, and my blood, sweat, and tears to get myself out there. And then I
Yeah.
eventually moved out and got my own place. So it's kind
That's
of just
awesome.
it's been a roller coaster for sure.
I bet.
But
So how many years would you say that it took you for you to have your own business?
well, I would say so. I started out as an employee at the medical spa because I wasn't sure that I could afford rent yet. And she was very lenient and kind of let me just do commission base and
Okay.
kind of just pay her for when I came in for clients instead of like a monthly in case I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
I think I did that for like a little over a year, and then
Okay.
it just made more sense to rent from her and be my own entity at that point because I was like, I am here planning to pay rent, and it just didn't make sense to like dish out that commission all the time when I was working crazy hours. I mean, granted, I wasn't charging a ton. I think I was charging like $200 or $300 for eyebrows at the time. Maybe two. I think it was like 200, but I was there like morning to night every day. So, I mean that ended up being kind of a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, it just makes more sense for me to pay rent now and kind of like spread my wings and fly. And she agreed because like having employees is hard. And she's like, I
Yeah.
just want you to do your own thing and like you can just pay me rent. I don't care. So I became Lafayette Microblading LLC in 2021. Which is like my legal name, and then it was just me, and I was that until last year. We turned it to Permavibe once I hired on some girls. It was more than just me at that point, and we do more services now, so it just made sense to do something like change the name to something more broad that doesn't just mean microblading because we do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you.
It's very inspirational.
Oh, well, thank
Like
you.
you inspire, like it makes me want to go out there and do something.
Do something, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not always like it's not always up here. Sometimes you go down and then sometimes you go back up. And it's like
Yeah.
you just have to keep praying that there's another one of these coming and it's
Yeah.
not like always just going to be down. Because I mean, I went through COVID.
Oh, yeah.
I was shut down for 4 months. I couldn't do any tattooing whatsoever. And then I couldn't do lips for an entire year because we had the mask mandate.
Yeah.
So a third of my income was being taken away from me for a year, and it was so easy to just be like, the bills are piling up. I can't do this anymore. Like a third of my income is gone, but my bills are the same. So it's like,
Yeah.
how do I make it work? And I did, and I persevered through that. I worked at Aldi part-time
Oh,
to like help out because I'm like, I can't not work. It's just not my
yeah.
personality. But then I also like, right now, as we all know, the economy is like pretty terrible right now, and everybody's struggling just to buy groceries. So it's like, I'm not gonna sit here and ask you to pay me $500 for eyebrows. So like, I stopped doing my nails. I took my lashes off. Like, even I'm like struggling. I think we're all kind of struggling. So it's like one of those moments where you go down again,
Yeah.
but then you're just praying like, oh well, it's gonna get better,
Yeah.
and we'll get back up there and we'll be winning again. So it's like. I think that's just part of being a business owner is like, you can't expect it to just be amazing all the time
Always,
because
yeah.
it's never going to be like that. I just went to my new location that I haven't moved into yet, and they told me a ton of bad news. And I was like, the downs of being a business owner is right now. Like, some of it is just not fun. Like, you look at business owners online and you see them, being successful and loving what they do and whatever. And it's so easy to be like, oh man, it must be so nice to be them and just whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't understand like the struggle behind the scenes. Not everything goes your way. And typically things are usually harder than you think they're going to be, but it always works out. But it's like usually people are getting knocked down, but you just don't see it online.
Yeah.
So
It's not easy,
no.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So it's like, but the way that I've always kind of had this mentality of like, oh, well, if I'm being knocked down, that just means that the prize is just much greater in the end. Like,
Yeah.
the more you go through and the harder your journey is like the better the reward is larger
Yeah,
when you keep going.
for sure. So what would be one of the biggest obstacles that you've faced or that you've been through?
I would say, without saying too much, in the beginning of my career, when I was under someone's mentorship, I was kind of treated a certain way that wasn't great. And especially after I had left the mentorship, there was some like drama with this person,
Oh,
and they were telling all of their clients and telling people online that I was not certified and that like the health department hadn't approved me and I was working illegally and I was doing this and that. Mind you, I did the health department's wife's eyebrows. So I'm like, how are you going to say that I'm not approved when he was literally sitting in my space as his wife was getting his eyebrows done? But there was just a lot of like lies, and I had to send a cease and desist at 20 years old to someone who was triple my age. Because there was some like things that were said about me that were untrue, that were about my legal stuff. I mean, you can spread rumors and say stuff like, "Oh, she's ugly," or but you
yeah,
can't say
you
like, "Oh,
can't.
she's working illegally."
Yeah,
That's
that's
serious stuff.
yeah,
So I was like, I don't know what to do because I've tried calling her. I've tried, you know, just cordially as adults being like, "Hey, can we talk about this?" She blocked my number. She blocked me on everything. And I tried approaching her in person because we worked fairly closely together. And she ran inside and locked the door. So
wow.
I'm like, okay, if you're not going to talk to me face to face, I guess I'm just going to have to send you a legal letter from a lawyer saying, hey, if you continue to publicly bash me and say these false accusations, I'm going to have to take legal action against you because these are some serious claims and people are coming into my business saying, I just want to let you know, I don't know you, but this person is saying things about you. And that was like crazy because I'm like, first of all, why are you like talking to your clients about me?
Yeah,
And like, I don't know, it was kind of crazy. It was like I felt like I was in high school again. I think that was a really huge struggle because I felt like 2 inches tall and like the
yeah,
person was just stomping on me.
yeah,
And I felt like I almost couldn't get out of it because she had been in business for so long and she kind of ran the town before I came along. And so I'm like, I just felt like this like little fish in a big pond, And
yeah,
I'm like, I feel like she's going to ruin me without me even doing anything. But I persevered and I had to say some things publicly and, clear my name a little bit.
yeah.
But that's totally not an issue now. But it was when I first started out. And that really sucked.
And sometimes you don't want to make it public.
No.
And you don't want to like
Never.
say it, but I mean, you need to.
Well, I think
Sometimes, I mean, I feel like if she wasn't, you know, she wasn't stopping herself from saying or spreading rumors, then you have to, she was blocking your phone calls and shutting the door on you. So, I mean, what else was there for you to do? I mean, so then you think that posting it on your social media helped?
I didn't in my social media, I totally hate having to post anything about any kind of drama.
Yeah.
I kept it very vague, but basically what I did to clear everything was
Okay.
like I showed pictures of my license and showed picture of
Oh,
my board of health picture on the wall saying that my place was established and that I was working legally and all this stuff. I just said, hey, just to throw this out there, like when you
okay.
come and get something done by me, I am a licensed tattoo artist in Tippecanoe County. I have been approved by the Board of Health. Like I'm Better Business Bureau certified. Like I am doing everything legally and morally because that is how I run things. So I'm like, you never have to worry about me doing illegal stuff. Because I'm the one that always I feel like I'm kind of a rule follower in that way, kind of
Yeah.
almost to an annoying point. So it was really hard, but I tried not to say her name or like bring that up.
Yeah.
or tag her in anything, you know.
Yeah.
I actually created a new profile for just my stuff, like, cause like apart from the studio,
Yeah.
but just some content that I wanted to make on my own, and I ended up following the lady because I was like, if there's anything, I don't know, I just feel like I just wanted her to kind of I followed her because I'm like, I wanted her to remember, like, hey, I'm here and like I have no bad blood. Like I'm someone who forgives almost too easily, I think.
Yeah.
In her case, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I just wanted to follow her and say like, hey, I'm here and like I'm cool if you're cool. She didn't follow me back, but that's fine because whatever. But yeah, so I think I think for the most part we're past everything. I did have a client come in 4 months ago who said that she originally had some stuff done by this other lady, and during her appointment she was telling her things about me, which in the moment when she was telling me this, she didn't know she was talking about me. She just said she kept talking about some girl who she trained, and then the girl like left her and stole all of her clients and started working illegally out of a med spa and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh yeah, so that was me. Also, I didn't do any of that. And she's like, oh, well, she just would not stop talking about you. Like, it was weird because I never brought you up. I don't know who you are. And I was like, this is 4 months ago. So I'm like, well, I mean, she's still talking about me.
Yeah.
But at this point, she really can't do anything to me. You can talk about me, you know? But it doesn't bother me anymore because I've been dealing with it for almost 6 years. So, you know,
That's a long time.
It is.
You would think that she's over it. Like,
You would
get
think.
over it.
Right. Well, I think it was a lot harder too when I was at the med spa because we were literally like 2 doors down from each other. So we would see each other in the parking lot. You know, we would like cross paths occasionally. So there were some physical things that I was experiencing too of like, I think the day I moved out of the med spa and I was carrying a box in my car, she drove past me and flipped me off. So that's like a physical thing, but obviously I don't experience physical things anymore because I haven't seen her in like 2.5 years. So that was the last time I saw her. But I mean, I can handle her talking about me and whatever, but I always joke with people who do know her and are close to me that if I ever turn up, you know who did it. I joke.
Yeah.
But she does have that kind of energy.
That negativity and that like just hateful.
Yes, that's the word. I could write a book. I tell people that all the time, but like I've never really spoken about this before. So it's kind of weird to like talk about it now
Yeah.
because I've been holding it in for so long. And the people who are close to me know how much I went through. Especially like the med spa owner because she fought a lot of my battles for me because I was her employee.
Yeah.
So that it was really tough, and I didn't tell anybody, like my clients or obviously or anything online. So this is really my first time being like, hey, this is
What I went through.
what I went through, and I never said
Yeah.
anything, but you know, I wish her the best, of course. But yeah, that was a huge thing I had to get over. I did a lot of crying and like I don't know, it's hard when something happens and the story's flipped about you. And
Yeah.
then, you know, you move on and you are the bigger person, but this other person just can't seem to move on and let go and be.
And I feel like that also makes, I mean, it hurts.
Well,
It would
yeah.
hurt me. Like, I don't know. I don't know how you, like, you're really strong.
Oh, well, thank you.
And you were, you've moved past it, and because you've proved her wrong. And, I mean, I'm
Mhm.
sure that it was really emotional and it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard
it
to,
is.
yeah.
Really fast, I just want to say, you know, really fast that I like thank God for that though, because that just made me like want to be better
Yeah.
as an artist. The thing that I was telling my husband, as much as he told me to say something, he'd be like, why do you let her why do you let everybody say stuff to you? And I'm like, I keep my mouth shut and I work harder and I let my work speak for itself.
Yes.
Because I'm like, at the end of the day, like just speaking about it is, I don't think that's gonna make me look good. And I really, I was just like, you know what? If you are gonna say all these bad things about me and whatever, I'm gonna work twice as hard. You might have more experience than me. You might have been in business longer than me, but I'm going to show you that, I'm gonna work so hard and I'm gonna get to a place where you can't touch me.
Yeah.
And I obviously don't feel that, I don't think I'll ever feel that I'm in that position to where I'm like, well, I'm too cool for you now or too good for you. But it does just show that, like, with hard work, like, you can get to a place artistically that you're proud of. And some people, I'll just say, some people stay the same because they don't work on it. They don't work on themselves. So it pushed me so much because I'm like, I'm not going to let this woman talk bad about my work, talk bad about anything, because I'm going to get to a place where I'm going to be so good she can't say anything.
Yeah.
Or anybody can't say anything. So that just really motivated me. And yeah, I think it was good as much as it was bad for me. Because without that, I think I would have been a lot lazier. I think I would have been, I wouldn't have worked as hard. I would have no reason or no one to show, like, off to.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, like, I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
And you're doing that.
And now you're
whatever
this
that is.
empowered girl.
Yeah, and I mean that in the, like, nicest way possible. I'm not trying to be like, I'm here and you're
No,
there.
but
Like,
yeah, you
never.
are.
But I think I learned in the end, though, that I was really just trying to show myself. It had nothing to do with her. That I was good enough and I could be in this industry and do well,
So after all this time, do you feel like you've mastered any skill?
I don't like to say that I've, like, technically mastered anything because I don't think anyone's ever, like, officially done learning at any kind of point. We're always learning and always trying to improve, but I do call myself the master artist in my studio because I am the owner and I've been doing it the longest. And then anyone who works under me is like a junior artist because it's just easy for people to understand, like, the tier of artists.
Yeah.
But I would say, I think that I'm pretty confident with eyeliner because it's pretty scientific. There's a science to it. It doesn't take a ton of artistic ability or thought. So I think that is pretty easy to master if you want to say master. Yeah.
Wow.
But as for brows and lips, I'm constantly, like, trying new techniques and trying new pigments and needles and styles and shapes and colors. And so I never want to say I've mastered anything until, like, I'm 100% sure that I have. So I don't want to say I have mastered those things yet. Although I do feel confident in the work, I don't want to ever stop at a point and say I've mastered that until I really feel that way. Because I'm still learning. I think we're all still learning, like, everyone. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. You always have to keep going and keep being a student, because if you don't, it kind of just, it shows in your work. Like, I know that when I take a step back from education or practice, my work gets worse and worse and worse. And it's like, what the heck? Like, it's not like where you ride a bike and you can ride a bike forever, like, after you learn it once.
Yeah.
You can definitely forget and you can definitely take steps back if you're not constantly, like, learning and practicing. So
Yeah, because I'm sure it changes, right? Like all the
Definitely.
techniques and all the
Yeah.
pigments and the shapes and
That's true. The way that we tattoo eyebrows is different from even when I started doing this.
okay.
There's a lot of techniques that have been done away with, and then there's been brands and things that we don't use anymore because of one reason or the other. So I feel like, yeah, it's constantly changing.
Or you find a better pigment than the
Totally.
one that you would
I'm
use.
doing that right now. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I'm constantly like, oh, I'm gonna try that. Like,
Yeah.
my bank account hates it, but
I'm sure.
I'm like, I gotta try that because if
Yeah.
they say that it's great, I'm gonna try it. And sometimes it's great, and then sometimes it's like, ugh, so dumb, so bad, I hate it.
Yeah.
But you just
But
find
you
what
have
works
to
for
try
you.
it. I mean, doesn't hurt to try. I mean, your bank account will hurt, but
Yeah, I think that's something I need to work
Yeah.
on. Being like, I have to have that. I have to try it.
But then what if it does work?
Well, then yeah, then I have my new
it's
favorite thing,
yeah,
which has
yeah.
happened a lot recently. I found a lot of new favorite things, which is great. And there hasn't been a ton of duds with my purchases lately, which has been great. But there's some stuff that we're doing away with now that I'm like, well, great, now I got to get rid of all that. And it's like, well, now I gotta, because I need the next best thing, because I'm trying to constantly stay up on it.
So what are some techniques that you use?
So brows, there's quite a few different techniques. With lips, it's pretty standard. Eyeliner, it's pretty standard, but with eyebrows, you would know
Yeah.
a lot about this because you've had multiple things done.
Mhm.
So there's microblading, which I'll get into the difference, but there's microblading, there's nano, and there's powder.
Okay.
So microblading is, I want to say it's semi-permanent, but I don't want to say it's semi-permanent. Microblading
Like it
is
fades?
yes.
Okay.
And it's meant to fade. So it does last 1 to 2 years, but there are people that have had it done and it lasts a lot longer than that. So I typically don't like to say semi-permanent because once you alter the skin, you're changing it forever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So microblading is essentially, the way that I like to describe it to clients is like, think of a stick and poke tattoo where they're taking like a little pen and they're poking you with it manually. And then there's a tattoo machine where it's just it's a machine and it's doing this on its own.
Okay.
So you don't have to manually do this or hit the skin with your hand. The needle does, the machine does
doing
that
it
for you.
So that's the microblading.
The microblading, yes, is the hand tool. So that is actually essentially a blade made of needles, and you're actually cutting the skin open, which it sounds super morbid.
Yeah.
But you're cutting the skin open and creating these tiny little nano incisions, like these tiny little skinny hair-like incisions, and then putting the pigment inside of those incisions. And then once it heals and the skin heals over it, it creates like a really crisp hair stroke look.
Okay.
Because it goes deeper in the skin, because that's how we implant the color, is this in the second layer of the skin. Because there's bleeding with it and the healing process is a little more intense and not everyone is a great candidate for it. It can look really good or it can look not so great, and it doesn't last as long. I like microblading on certain people, but it has to be like this 30 percentile of clientele that have like really young skin, not oily, not super dry though, and they have to have enough hair. In my opinion, nano, which is done with like a single needle and a tattoo machine type machine. It's not exactly a tattoo machine, but it's similar. You're essentially sketching on hair strokes with your needle, like a tattoo almost, and you're able to create a little bit more texture with the hair strokes because you can crisscross them and
Okay.
make them look fun and
Like they're hairs.
Yeah, they're like little hairs and you can draw them on. And because that is done just right on the top of the skin, there's little to no bleeding at all with that. It lasts a lot longer and it's being implanted more times than your hand is implanting it. Because the machine is hitting the skin, hundreds of times within that stroke that you do. Whereas with your hand, when you're just stroking it along the skin, it's not being implanted as much. So,
And that would be the difference, right? Like the microblading is you're implanting it
with my hand.
with your hand.
Yeah.
And the nano is the machine is doing.
Yeah. So that's essentially the difference. So I always knew about like typical eyebrow tattooing because it's been around since the 50s with a tattoo machine, but that's really all I knew. But people seem to think that like eyebrow tattoo is like with a tattoo machine in a tattoo shop with black tattoo ink. It's like we don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Microblading is somewhat newer, I believe. It's only been around in the last like 12 years, maybe. I think when I first started, it had been around for 7 or so. But microblading is somewhat newer. So that's why it looks so natural and why these ladies that have had it done 20 years ago, their eyebrows don't look microbladed. They look tattooed.
Oh.
Because it's a newer thing.
It's a newer type of microblading.
Yeah.
So you would say microblading is more newer than nano?
Nano's been around. I think it's really, really progressed in the last 5 years. When I first started doing brows, nano wasn't as popular whatsoever.
But
I
it
think everyone was doing
existed.
microblading. I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
because I was trained in Nano originally,
Okay.
but I hated it because the way that I was trained, I was like, it looks terrible.
Okay.
So I just never did it. And then I kind of taught myself microblading because I wasn't taught that originally. But that's what everybody was doing because that was the thing, was
the
microblading.
microblading.
Yeah, and I still love microblading. I always will. But the Nano has come a long way since I started, and now I feel like everyone's switching to Nano because they're finding new ways to make it look better. And like the newer products and the newer needles are just way more high tech and nice now,
Yeah.
to where like the results are so much better, and like you almost don't have to cut people open anymore to like get those strokes in.
Yeah.
So that means we're opening our books to like more mature clientele who can't receive microblading because their skin is like tissue paper.
Yeah.
But we can nano them because it doesn't make them bleed, and it's very like little to no trauma to the skin.
Yeah.
Whereas microblading, you really don't want to cut just anybody open like that. So people on blood thinners are like a no-no. Mature skin is a no-no. Oily skin is a no-no for microblading, but Nano, all of the above can receive. So it's
okay.
nice. So I think a lot of people are switching to that.
Yeah. And see, I don't think I knew the difference between microblading and nano because I've had microblading done
Right.
before, and then you did nano on me. But I don't think that I don't think I did my research right, or I don't know what it was, but I just wanted my eyebrows to look natural and like just if I had a lot of hairs on my eyebrows,
Yeah.
because I had no hair at all.
Mhm.
And so, but I feel like I didn't do my research on anything else because I didn't know that there was anything
Yeah.
else.
No, that's totally understandable. I don't ever expect anyone of the general public to understand anything that I do. So I'm constantly explaining the difference between stuff
difference.
because I'm like, you really want to know what you're getting.
Yeah.
But also, if it were have been me, I probably wouldn't have microbladed you, just because you're on that oilier side.
Yeah.
Which is why we kind of had that problem with the blurring.
Yeah.
Because it does blur the strokes into each other, and then it ends up just kind of being like lost.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided to do Nano on you, but because it's kind of a newer, like people are coming back to Nano again, I wouldn't say that maybe your artist originally was just like, I don't think that she knew any better at the time, you know? Because maybe I didn't get into Nano until last year. Like,
Okay.
I revisited Nano from 2019 because I hated doing it in 2019 because I thought it looked bad. And I didn't see anyone online really do it well. It was really popular in like Korea, I think.
Okay.
And I see a lot of Korean artists do it, but I had never seen anyone that I looked up to doing it. It was all microblading. But now everyone's doing Nano again and like finding these new techniques to make it look really nice. And I'm like, okay, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I've only been doing Nano for a year. So your artist might just not have offered it or really knew about it either. So
yeah, because I think that was an issue about my skin being oily. And I remember it would not take the color. Like
Yeah.
it would like somehow just, it wouldn't take it. My skin wouldn't take the color. So,
yeah.
And it was because I had oily skin. But I mean, at that point I knew, oh, it's because my skin is oily that the pigment won't, stay or hold or whatever. But I'm so glad I know now. And I'm so glad that, you got to fix my eyebrows.
Yeah, I think it's a learning experience with every client because everyone's skin is so different.
Yeah.
So I always try to communicate like, hey, I am going to do the best of my ability for your skin. And if your skin hates me, I'll have to just find a different way to get it in there. Yeah. Everyone is so different. I feel like with you, I was worried that after I did Nano, it was going to blur again. So I'm interested to see them up close and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And obviously touch them up because we need to touch them up. But yeah, some people's skin are just a little tougher than others. And then there's some mature skin's really hard to work on too. And it's like really fragile and dry and kind of dehydrated. And like it's really easy to do some damage to them because they're so fragile.
Yeah.
So it's all a learning experience, client by client, like how to adjust myself to their skin type, because you can't just do the same thing on everybody
No.
because you're going to either bruise someone really bad or
Yeah.
make someone bleed really bad
Yeah.
or not do enough to where it's just going to fade away. So
Yeah. And I do have the experience with microblading. It did hurt more. Like I felt like I was like you can feel it, like even though they do put like a cream on it to numb that area, but it was, I mean, a bit painful. As in the Nano, I didn't feel a thing.
yeah,
I didn't
and
feel
that's super valid because microblading is deeper, so you
Yeah.
would feel more.
like I would feel like the
Yeah, like the scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call it like cat scratches. Our clients usually stay pretty comfortable. They usually just hate the noise more than anything, but we will get like someone out of the blue who is like kind of feeling a little bit. But we have a numbing for that. Like once they start feeling it, we can apply a secondary numbing and it'll help so that we can go over it without them feeling it.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's people that they're like, oh, I kind of felt that, you know. But with Nano, I never get that. Like they don't ever
Yeah,
feel anything.
no.
So I'm like, sometimes they fall asleep on me. So
Yeah.
it's kind of nice to not have that worry of
that
hurting
pain.
people.
Yeah, because it is.
You never want to
painful.
hurt people. No.
Yeah. Have you ever had a hard time with a client?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I've been really, really, really lucky. I have the best clients, and I've barely ever had to deal with certain things. When it comes to like people being negative, I really haven't had any experience. I do like occasionally I will get a client that makes a rude comment or talks to me a certain way, but I always brush everything off. I'm not easily offended, so I usually win everybody over in the end. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of people have their thoughts about me when they come in because they think I'm too young, you know, which is like a great compliment, but I can understand when you're in your 60s and you're getting your eyebrows done and you're like, what does a 20-year-old know about my eyebrows? I mean, I totally get what they mean. I think that's really all I've really I've had to deal with is like clients not taking me seriously or maybe like taking advantage of me or thinking I'm like too nice, so they're gonna like try to that kind of thing. I haven't had anybody really be like upset with their results as much. Nothing like that. Like that stuff, like that's the stuff I would lose sleep over. You know what I mean? If that happened, thank God. I've been pretty lucky. Some people get some crazy clients. Like I'm in a forum on Facebook and people post the craziest client experiences. And I'm like, I don't know what I would do. But I was going to say something that was funny, like a funny experience. I think there's two notable client experiences I want to share. One of them being years ago, this lady came to me to touch up her foreign work, kind of like yours, but I was just touching it up. I wasn't doing anything different. And she sent me pictures of herself later that night. This woman's 40 something. She sent me pictures of herself naked.
What?
Yeah. Naked in lingerie and also naked in the bathtub.
Wow.
Yeah. And she said, the caption said, I'm feeling myself with these new eyebrows. I had to throw on some lingerie and drink some wine when I got home.
Wow.
And I was like, it was 8 p.m. I was watching American Idol with my husband on the couch. And I opened my phone and I'm like,
what did your husband say?
He goes, what were you guys talking about that insinuated that? And I said, do you think I asked for this? Do you think that we were talking about naked pictures during our appointment? No. I was like, I did nothing to insinuate that.
Yeah.
So I spent hours thinking of a response, right? Because I'm like, I have to see this lady again soon because she's coming in for a touch-up. So, because I wasn't going to break up with her because she wasn't doing it in a way that was like she was trying to get with me. It was...
Or like offensive.
No.
She was
like, she wasn't like, hey, you want to come over? It wasn't anything like that.
She was feeling herself.
Which is what she said. She was like, I'm feeling myself. I went home and put on my sexy outfit and I'm drinking some wine. And I was like, good for you, girl. That's great. So I texted her back and I just said, sounds great. I will see you at your appointment in 6 weeks. So like, that's all I'm going to say. 'Cause I'm like, I don't want to encourage this behavior, but I'm also not going to be like, you're weird.
Yeah.
Either.
Because how do you respond
to that?
Like,
yeah.
Oh, your eyebrows look great.
Well, her eyebrows
But-
weren't in the photo.
Oh, they were.
No, which is funny. So I'm like, you're feeling yourself, but your eyebrows aren't in the photo. So there was a lot of other
Wow.
things in the photo.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I just died laughing because I'm like, I don't know. This is my first weird experience. You know?
Yeah.
My second one was I had this lady come in and she's much older than me. But I'm talking to her. She actually invited me to her beauty school that she owns, and I'm talking to her students about my classes because I wanted to tell them that I train permanent makeup, and I'm in the middle of my presentation and she stops me and she goes, "I'm sorry, I have to stop you. Your nose rings make you look like a pig." Like straight up, because I had my nose rings in, but they were rings, like just normal nose rings, And I had to just stop and kind of smile for a minute because obviously, like, I'm not easily offended, so I kind of just thought it was funny, and I was like, you know what? I love pigs. Pigs are great. Anyway, and I continued with my presentation, and her students were like mouths open, looking at me like,
Yeah,
"I'm so
my mouth is
sorry."
still open.
Yeah, and the main educator there comes up to me afterwards and she's like, I'm gonna call her Miss O. So she's like, let's say that's her name. She's like, Miss O just really hates tattoos and piercings and funny hair colors, and she's just not into that. And she's very open about it, that she does not like that stuff. So don't take it personally. I'm like, no, not at all. Like, my family's like that. I get it all the time. Like, my grandma calls me a bull because of my nose rings. Like, it's just a normal thing. But it was funny, and I had some students message me on Instagram and say, I'm so sorry about Miss O. She's kind of like that, like, whatever. I can't believe she said that. That was so blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. But, yeah, she came into my business to get her eyebrows done afterwards, and she's telling me that I'm not professional, that I'm too friendly. I talk way too much about personal life, and that I can't say the word tattoo because that scares people, even though like what I do is kind of like tattooing, So I say like, it is kind of like a tattoo, so you have to care for it like a tattoo, stuff like that. And she'll be like, no, don't say tattoo. That scares me. That makes me want to run out of here. And I'm like, but that's what it is.
And she was getting something done.
Right. I'm like, I think it would be wrong for me to say it wasn't a tattoo. That would be false and very illegal. So I'm like, what do you want me to say then? She's like, call it permanent makeup because that's more professional and it doesn't scare people away. And I'm like, I didn't realize I was scaring people away.
Yeah.
But then she was telling me, like, how my studio
wouldn't
set
it
up.
be the same thing? Like it's permanent as a...
Right. But she hates the word, she hates tattoos, remember? So she does not want to ever think that she's ever getting a tattoo. But I'm like, that's what it is.
And do you guys offer the fine line tattoos?
We did for a minute, but Megan is taking a break from that because she wants to learn brows now. So we're actually focusing on that for now. But she's going to come back to it, but we're trying to get her set up to do brows, liner, and lips as well. So that she can do all the permanent makeup stuff along with me just to help me like with my workload.
Yeah.
And then we'll focus on other stuff like the fine line tattoos again. It's just not on our priority list at the moment. We weren't super busy with it when we were doing it. So it just makes more sense to focus on our main services right now and get her to a good place with those services and then move on to something new. Okay. But yeah, we really liked doing them and they were fun. But she just felt like I kind of want to get more into the permanent makeup thing because we had a third girl. She's moving back home to Terre Haute. And so now we're down like an eyebrow person. And like I love to do eyebrows, but if it gets busy and like I get full, I want someone to fall back on. Yeah. And especially I want to offer someone who's a little newer just because it's more affordable than me, which I mean at some point she'll get up to my level obviously, but there's a lot of people who want their eyebrows done but they can't afford to spend, $400 or $500 on it. And I get it. Yeah. So that's a perfect opportunity for those people to go to someone like Megan and let her practice. I don't want to say practice on them, but like do brows on them that are good and decent with my supervision and be able to afford it and receive the service. And then that also in turn benefits Megan because she gets more experience and,
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're working on now because I kind of need her to do brows with me.
Yeah.
Especially since we're moving into a new place and I fear that I'm hoping that people are going to be like pounding our doors down once we open, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So will you have two or would you just move all of it to one?
Just one, yeah.
So you won't be at the same location?
No. But it's just down the street, so it's not
Oh.
super hard. It's still on Main. It's just going to be more downtown.
Okay.
So, we're right on the edge of downtown, like right when you start entering Main Street. We're right up there on the top of
Okay.
the hill. So, do you know where like East End Grill is? East End
Think
Grill
so,
or Ripple
yes,
and Company?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's right there. So
Okay.
it's a really, really good location. And there's tons of people that go to the restaurants and the coffee shops there.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about the exposure.
Okay.
Um,
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, we're going to be hitting the ground running basically when we open that place. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. And so you do it all right now. Lips, brows.
Megan does all the lips right now.
Oh,
'cause
she does lips.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
been doing
okay.
those for over a year now. And I mean, me and her work are practically the same when it comes to lips right now. So it just makes sense for her to take that over and let me focus on eyebrows since that's kind of my forte. She really loves lips, so I think that that's going to stay her specialty. And she'll do brows too, but I think that lips are kind of her like love,
Her thing.
her thing. And so I'm going to let it be her thing
Okay.
until I need to do it again or something.
So what skills or where do you get those skills or how do you get that certification or how do you start from like lips and eyebrow? Because I'm assuming it's different. Is it like a school that you have to go through or how does that work?
So it kind of just depends where you live. Some
Okay.
states make you be like an esthetician to be able to cosmetically tattoo.
Okay.
Indiana is not one of those. So you just have to find an artist that you like that trains and offers education
Okay.
and go to them and take their courses. And then they give you a certification of completion. And you take that to your health department and obtain a license or a permit or whatever, however that works in your county. In Lafayette, it's like a tattoo art or like an actual tattoo license. So when I did that apprenticeship in the beginning, I took those certifications to the health department and they gave me my license in return. And then if I wanted to learn something new, I could learn it through someone locally or I could travel. I've traveled a little bit to Utah, North Carolina, and Arizona so far for trainings. Because if you find someone that, let's say someone does really good lips and they're amazing and you just can't seem to get your lips that way or you haven't even started lips yet, you could go to them and they could train you in all of the ins and outs of how they do their lips and certify you. And then you would take that to your local place and, well, if you already have a license, then it just becomes another certification for you. Okay. There's some stuff you can obtain online. Like we did our teeth whitening course online, our tooth gem certification course online.
Oh, nice.
There's
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's continuing education even for brows, different techniques and stuff you can learn online. I have a subscription to someone and they post videos of brows and their technique every month. And I watch that just to brush up on stuff or see how they do things. But it's not necessarily certifying me in anything. It's just kind of teaching me different ways of doing things. Okay. But yeah. So I personally trained Megan in lips. But she obtained her teeth whitening and permanent jewelry and all of the other extra stuff elsewhere to different companies. She obtained it from them. Okay. So with cosmetic tattooing, you just kind of have to find your person that you like their work and they do good trainings and have good testimonials for their students and train with them. And yeah.
So you train on brows?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I train brows, eyeliner, lips, and freckles, and tooth gems. Okay. And that's it.
So it would all be in one certification?
Not necessarily. It would be different. Yeah. So if you learn microblading, that doesn't mean you can do nano. If you learn nano, that doesn't mean you can do microblading. Okay. And if you learn lips, that doesn't mean you can do eyebrows.
So you would have to do each one individually?
Yeah, they're all very they're special, you know, it's like a specialty. So
Okay.
you can only do one thing at a time. You could of course schedule them at the same time if you want to learn all of them, but it'd be 3 separate pieces of paper
Yeah.
saying, you know, you went
Okay.
through lip blushing 101, or you went through fundamentals of microblading, or you went through powder brows
Oh.
101. Like every technique is something different. You have to learn. Although I taught myself Nano. Fun fact.
Okay.
Just by watching videos online and practicing at home in my sketchbook. So I did that, but I also have mentors that I reach out to that I've trained with before, saying, "Hey, what are you using for your Nano clients? Like, what needles are you using?" And they can mentor me through that. But I didn't feel like I already learned Nano in 2019, so I feel like I already had all the background knowledge of it. I just needed to work on the technique and learning how to draw it. So that's why I kind of just worked in my sketchbook, and then I just started doing it and practicing on fake skin and taught myself, because I've been doing machine work for 6 years almost. So I'm like, it's not anything I don't know.
Yeah.
But you can't just like pick up a tattoo machine and be like, I'm going to start doing this now.
Yeah.
Like, well, not necessarily.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
I think we covered the microblading, the nano. What is the powder?
Oh, so I actually have powder, which I don't know if you can even see my eyebrows. I have a little makeup on. But powder is when you completely shade in the eyebrow. There's no hair strokes happening. So I want to say, like, think about the old school tattooing. It's like more shaded in. There's no hair strokes. It's just like not just a line, but it's more so like filling, like creating a really pretty outline and then shading that in. So there's like nice clean edges, and it's like an ombre effect almost, from dark to light, from the front to the
back.
yeah, to create like a little background for your eyebrows. So the reason I chose that for me is because I have plenty of hair. I don't have any issues with that, but I do struggle with always wanting them darker and wanting them to be more even around the edges. So I got mine done in like an espresso color, which my natural brows are like light brown. So it kind of just makes it look like I've filled them in for the day and made them look really nice with like some pencil and concealer, but I didn't do anything to them.
They look so pretty.
Thank you.
So is it like a machine also? Like they just...
It's the same thing I would use for a Nano, but instead of drawing hair strokes, I'm just shading. Like I'm just coloring it in essentially. So,
But it's still going like...
Yeah.
The machine's still going...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's... Oh, okay.
So kind of think about it like a coloring book. So when you're coloring in a coloring book, you're shading in the empty spaces in between the lines. When you're drawing from scratch, you're drawing the lines. You're not really coloring it. You're drawing the outline. So that's more like Nano. So you're drawing lines. And then with the powder, you're just filling in the empty space.
Okay.
By shading it in.
Okay. I think that's interesting, but I would be scared. Like, what if you go over, or what if you... Because, I mean...
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know.
Something that we do to ensure that doesn't happen is when we draw, you know how I drew your eyebrows on first? So I don't draw the hair strokes on for powder, but that outline that we do, I actually lightly sketch that on with my needle first, just barely enough to see it so that I stay in the lines.
Oh, okay.
So I do have an outline to go off of, but it's not an outline that you'll see when it's done. It won't be there when it's done. It'll all just be one like pretty powdery eyebrow.
Yeah.
But we tattoo the outline on first so that we don't run out of the line or anything. So and then we just fill it in line to line.
Okay. I like your... Did you also get your lips? I like that color.
Thank you. I just had them touched up a month ago, maybe a little bit.
So
I went darker,
yeah,
significantly darker, which I'm so into.
I like it.
Thank you. I originally had them done when I taught Megan lips like a year and a half ago, and she did like a really light orangey color on me, and I really liked it because I like orangey colors on me. But I was like, I need more. So she touched them up recently with like a maroon.
Yeah.
It's like a 90s maroon.
I love it. It looks so good on you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of lip filler too, so it kind of helps them look kind of extra pretty. I think I'd never thought I would ever like my lips because I never had any until I had them blushed and then filled. But now they're like my favorite feature of my face. So, and I get compliments all the time And my grandma still thinks I just wear the same lipstick every day. She goes, "What are you wearing on your lips?" And I go, I don't know. Because I don't want to tell her the
You
tattoo.
don't want to tell her.
I mean, I ended up telling her, but she
wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that she'd be like, "What?" And she'd be like, "Why would you do that?"
Yeah.
But it looks nice, you know?
But I like it.
Yeah. I kind of told her, but I don't think she believed me. I think she thought I was kidding.
Okay. It's just new things that I feel like our grandmas would never understand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cute though. Like our grandmas don't get it, but I don't know. It's
Well, some grandmas, I'll tell you, I do a lot of grandmas.
And some stay up.
They really do. They're like up on the trend. They're like, I want Nano. I want like ombre lips. Like, do they know what they want? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I actually had a client come in who was 89 years old recently. And she's like, I want to look good in my casket. I think I'm going to die in 4 years because of my pacemaker. And I'm like, that's really, really dark. But sure. And so she's like, I want to look like this and blah, blah, blah. And she knew exactly what she wanted. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I gave her a really soft, pretty, like blonde powder brow because she had white hair. And she really liked it. And she's like, I'm really happy with these. And I'm like, I want to be like that when I'm 89, like still making sure I look good.
Yeah.
Because some people just don't care after some point, you know, which is fine. But I love grandmas that are like really into getting their nails done and their hair done. It's like, that's going to be me.
They're staying on it. Mm-hmm. And I also I love the feeling for you that you help those women and like reach their goal of like, this is what I want to look like, or this is how I want it. Mm-hmm. And like you make it happen. So I can only imagine how you feel making it happen for them.
For sure. It's very rewarding. And I never guessed when I started this that it would be so rewarding. I actually just wrote a little letter. I applied for like this the women's small business grant actually recently. And they were kind of like, so tell us like kind of in a personal way, like what your job means to you and why we should give you this grant. And I was like, well, you know, I change a lot of people's lives with what I do. And I just want to be able to continue to do that and continue my education and learn like areola tattooing for women who have experienced breast cancer and had to have their nipples removed. I want to be able to put them back on and help people cover their scars from trauma and feel better. And also not just that, like it doesn't have to be that deep, but I say, you know, I've done plenty of eyebrows and a lot of people have hugged me. They've cried. They've brought in their family members and had them meet me. Like it becomes a very personal thing when you're messing with someone's confidence of their face. And a lot of people come up to me in the store and they'll say, I haven't touched my makeup in years since I've seen you last. I don't put anything on my eyebrows anymore. I feel good when I wake up and like my husband compliments me now. Like all kinds of stuff, like super personal stuff. And it becomes more than just eyeliner or lips. Like it's like I never was able to look in the mirror until I got this done. And now like I can't stop looking in the mirror. I feel good. And I tell all my friends about you because it's life-changing. And it truly is. And I didn't really think it would be until I started experiencing like some people are really insecure about how they look without makeup. I mean, I just did a client last week who was maybe 22 years old. And she said, my husband, I've been married to him for 5 years and he's never seen me without makeup in my life. I've always had my eyebrows drawn on. I never show anybody without my eyebrows on. Wow. And her eyebrows were fine without makeup. I don't know what she was talking about. She said, my husband's never seen me without my eyebrows on and I just am sick of drawing them on all the time and feeling like crap because the way that I draw them on isn't good. And everyone makes fun of me with the way that I draw them on. And so it was life-changing for her.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I also feel like one day they can look a certain way because you draw them on good. And then the next day it's like, oh, this one's this way. Or, I mean, they're never going to, even though you draw them on every day, they're every day going to look different.
Mm-hmm. That's very true.
Yeah.
I get a lot of older clients too that are like, well, my vision's going. I can't see anymore. So I can't put my eyeliner on to save my life. Or they'll say I have Parkinson's, I'm shaking and I can't draw my eyebrows on anymore because I'm shaking so bad. And so it becomes, again, more than just eyebrows. It's like I'm helping them with their everyday routine of not having to put their eyebrows on and all of that. So I always told my husband, like, even if we win the lottery and I never have to work again, I'm still going to be doing this because it's like I lock my door of my studio and I go home and I'm like smiling on the way home because I'm like, I feel so warm, you know, because I just love people. And I also love just seeing the energy shift between when they walk in to when they walk out, of like them walking in being nervous and kind of being like, I'm really insecure about the way my eyebrows look without makeup. Like, I don't want you to take my makeup off. And then walking out and like staring at themselves in the mirror and being like, I can't wait to show my husband when I get home. Yeah. And the energy shift is just like all worth it. It makes you feel like you have a purpose in life. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's so, like, I'm telling you, you inspire me so much. Like, it's so...
I love that.
Yeah. You are, like, I'm like, can I go do brows?
Yeah, anytime. I mean, I genuinely, and I think more people should do eyebrows. Yeah. Like, I'm sitting here, like, trying to convince everybody to take my class and start doing it. I'm like, you can work at my studio. I don't care. Like, let's start doing it. If you're passionate about it, I think that's just what it comes down to, is the passion. Like, are you willing to keep working at it when you don't, like, when it doesn't come easy? And, like, are you willing to go through the hard parts of it as well as the easy parts? Mm-hmm. That's where it gets kind of foggy for some people. But I love that I inspire you because I feel like I have so many people in my life who inspire me. And I'm like, I want to be like that. I want to inspire people.
You are, and you inspire me so much.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, especially because, I mean, now you have your own bit, all the stuff you've been through, all the obstacles and all of that, and it didn't stop you. Like, you kept going.
Yeah, I think it's just pure. It's not even that it's me. It's more of just like, I just really love what I do and I just want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to make it work until I can I'm going to make it so that I can always keep doing this. Yeah. No matter what I have to go through or whatever. Like, I just want to do this. This is all I want to do. And I've been that way since day one. I'm like, I'm just going to make it work so I can do this every day. And I don't have to, you know, go work some office job or whatever 9 to 5. Like, I'd never want to have to do that again. Yeah. So I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that I can do this forever. So
yeah. And I also feel like I've always liked the beauty side, like the eyebrows, the makeup. I've always wanted to be like in a beauty school or go for, you know, do something, but because I had kids so young, it just like, and then I had another one, and then another one, and then another one. I have 4, and it's like...
They're all very cute, by the way.
Thank you. But I also feel like that stopped me from... Because right when I was like, okay, yes, I'm going to go, I'm going to do this, and then boom, I got pregnant. And then it's like, really, now it's like, I know that should not stop me, but it did. Like, I wanted to take care of my babies. I wanted to be home with them. I wanted, you know, and then after that, I got a job. I started working. And then it's like, okay, well, when am I going to do what I want to do? Mm-hmm. You know, and I feel like it's never too late.
Never
too late. So
I was going to tell you, there's no age limit on education. So you can always learn, no matter how old or young you are. But also, it's funny that you say that because, you know, you might think that way of like, oh, I had kids and then I just was never able to focus on my career. I feel the opposite, where I'm like, I'm too focused on my career that I could have had 2 kids by now, and I don't because I'm just trying to figure out my job. Like, I'm working on my business and I'm not in a comfortable place yet to like have kids. So like, I feel like I could have had kids by now, and I could have, my kid could be like 4 and I could be, you know, in a more comfortable position to step away from the child and like go back to work and stuff. But I did the opposite and I focused on my business, and now I'm like, when am I going to have kids? Like, when's it going to happen for me? But there's just so many things up in the air right now, and like we're just trying to get our ducks in a row financially before we have kids because they're expensive.
Yeah.
And I'm like about to drop this loan right now on this new place and like move that in. And then there's just so much going on that I cannot have a kid right now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, when is it ever going to end so that I can have kids? And like, and for you, you're like, when is the kids going to stop so I can start my career?
Yeah.
I'm like, when is my career going to stop so I can have kids? Like, life is not meant to be lived in the same timeline as each other. Like, you might have kids first and then have a career. You might find your career and then have kids.
Yeah.
Or you might have a kid and then get married. Or you might get married and then have a kid. Or, you might not find out what your true calling is until you're 45.
Yeah.
Or you might not get married till you're 50. Who knows? Yeah. But it doesn't mean it's wrong.
So true. Yeah.
It just means everyone follows a different path.
Yeah.
And we're all just trying to figure it out. I mean, I have an uncle that got married at 40, 48, I think, for the first time. He never had kids or anything.
Oh, wow.
But he has a really great job that he's been working on since then. He works at Subaru. He's like one of the higher ups, makes a ton of money.
Oh, nice.
So good for him. He's worked his whole youth for that, which is great. But then he missed out on finding someone and settling down, But then there's people that settle down really young and then they find their career when they're 40, you know? So it all works out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like now that they're older now, I feel like, oh, okay, now it's my turn. Mm-hmm. You guys are independent. You guys they still need their mom and I'm always there for them. But it's not like I have a baby and
It's important to do stuff for yourself and figure out your own purpose other than being a mom. Of course, being a mom is always your purpose if you're a mom. But sometimes you have to have your own identity outside of that, even outside of a relationship, outside of being a daughter, outside of being a mother. Like, you have to find your own identity. Yeah. And my husband and I totally understand each other on that sense. Like, I'm like, listen, he tries to be involved a lot and I really appreciate it. But sometimes I'm like, this is my moment to be me. Like, this is my thing, you know? And this is my moment for me to be away from everything else and just be myself. Yeah. And I love that. And I think it's important to have that because if you're constantly identifying yourself with being just a mom and with other people, you lose yourself. Like, you lose all your interests and like your sense of self and like who you are when you're always like pouring in someone else's cup. Yeah. And you're not pouring it back into you. So I think that you should look into it. You should find, because it's not going to come immediately, like what you think you want to do. For me, like I said, I was like, should I do makeup? Should I do tattooing? Should I do whatever? And then it just took me stumbling upon a YouTube video of what microblading was. And I was like, well, shoot, that's what I'm supposed to do. It was like a light bulb moment. You'll find your light bulb moment, whatever that is.
I did look into esthetician. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, that sounds good. But I'm like, well, I'm like you said, I'm still like trying to figure out. But I've always loved the whole makeup and
you could
now I do my lashes now. Yeah. And I mean, they're not
lashes are a great thing to get into.
They're not like the
right, but they look amazing.
But you know, I'm like, I love my lashes, and I just do my lashes now. Yeah. As in before, I would pay a lot of money to get my lashes done.
Yeah. And they're worth every penny. But like I said, the economy right now is bad. It's bad. And I feel bad for all my lash friends that do lashes and my nail tech friends because I'm like, I'm feeling it too. Like, no one wants to get their eyebrows done and no one's trying to get their nails done either. And it all sucks for all of us. But hopefully it'll get better, you know?
Yeah. And then there's a lot of new things out there that it's like they make it easier for people just to do it on their own.
Yeah. Which I think COVID did a lot of that for us because we were stuck at home. So they're like, how do we do our lashes at home? How do we do our nails at home? Because we can't go to the salon. How are we highlighting our hair at home? Like everything. So I think that really shifted a lot.
A lot.
Which is great for those companies who make those things. But I feel bad for like our service people. I told my hairdresser straight up, I said, listen, I am going through it financially. I think a lot of us are. And I was like, before I met you, I was dyeing my own hair with like professional color. I don't box dye, you know, so she wasn't mad at me. that I'm like, I just can't afford to spend, $100 or so to get my roots touched up and my bangs trimmed and, all that. I'm like, as much as I love your company and I'd pay as much as I needed to for it, right now, I'm in a pickle right now.
Yeah.
I'm in a pickle and I look like one too.
No, you look good.
I was like, I'm green.
No, I like it. It
But
matches
she's
your
like,
eyes. Like
"Oh,
it goes, it goes with your eyes too.
Thank you. But I was just honest with her and I said, I'm struggling right now and I can't afford it. And she's like, that's really fine. If you want to put your hair dye in and come here and I can wash it out, I mean, whatever helps, And I think that's just where I'm at, just like being honest and being like, I just don't have the money right now. And I think a lot of people are experiencing that.
Yeah.
So
Well, like brows is not something that
it's not essential.
it's not.
No, it's totally like an accessory.
No, but I mean like it's not something that you can just do at home.
Right. Yeah.
You
So
know?
that's kind of great in
Yeah.
my situation with that is people can't tattoo their.
No.
They could try. I mean, I'm not saying you should.
No, you should not.
People have done it. Some clients have said to me that they've tried to and it didn't go well.
Yeah, no. I
And I'm
wouldn't
like,
try.
well, no judgment here, but don't do that.
Because that's permanent. Like,
well, not only that, but like infection. Like what happens if you get infected? You get tetanus if you use an old needle that has rust on it. Like what are you putting in your body?
yeah.
I don't want to know. And I don't want that to happen because there's just so much risk with that.
So do you want to share your social media?
Sure. So on Instagram, it's perma, PERMA .vibe. So it's permavibe with a period in the middle. And Facebook, it's just permavibe, one word. We do have TikTok, but we don't really use it a lot. It's just permavibe as well. And that's pretty much all we use. So
Okay, so just Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
yes, we're mostly active on Instagram the most. I'm posting pretty much daily. So that's probably where you'll want to go.
Okay.
And then my website for like any kind of info on like training or services or anything like that is permavibestudio.com.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about getting permanent makeup, definitely take advantage of consultations from artists around your area. And if you can, even do a consultation with everyone and see kind of like who you're vibing with and who is kind of the best fit for you. Because a lot of people don't know, but like I offer consultations and I have people come in and then they'll kind of go around to different people they were thinking about and kind of just get a scope for the place, the person, make sure it's a legitimate business, make sure they're doing stuff legally, kind of scope things out, make sure that they're comfortable with the person. Because sometimes they could do really good work and let's say you go in and what if they're like rude or something or they're weird or maybe they act like they're drunk, stuff like that. It's really good to take advantage of like consultations. So I love consultations because it helps the client like come in and get comfortable with me, my space, and we can educate them on all my services so that when they come in for their real appointment, they know exactly what's happening. So if you're thinking about getting it done, take advantage of all the consultations of all the people in your area and kind of just find like your person. So that's kind of all I wanted to say. Just because a lot of people are like, I want to get it done, but I don't know who to go to in my area. Like, what do I do? Just go in and, talk to the person, check out their social media, of course, make sure that they post pictures of their work, and kind of see who you're vibing with the most and then go with that.
Yeah. So what are some goals that you have?
But my goals for the future are to take more courses, be able to travel more and go take classes from other people that I like, kind of just obtain more skill. And then my like long-term goals, I would love to have a bigger team of girls that I've kind of mentored. Okay. I love to mentor people and help people, and it's like really satisfying to me to like see growth in other people in their art and like see their passion grows as mine grows. So it's like introducing something that you love to someone else and seeing them love it just as much is like the best. Yeah. So I think I want to just get more into education and mentoring other people and just grow my team and my business. And I don't know, I'd just be able to like do fun stuff and be able to travel and train in other states and do services in other states and be able to bring my team along with me through it
That's
all.
amazing.
I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey and all that you've accomplished, and for sharing this empowered girl that you are.
Mm.
It is so, like, you do really inspire me so much.
Well, good. That makes me really happy. But thank you for having me on here. I mean, I talked about so many things that I haven't said out loud to someone who's like not my husband. So it was really nice to kind of share that. Because I think not a lot of people know a lot of these things about me and all of that, because they just see eyebrows and then I'm behind the camera. So yeah, thank you so much for the exposure and the opportunity, and I'm so glad that we met.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And this was another episode of Why Not Podcast. Thank you.